Season of Discovery soared to over 500,000 active raiders at its peak, but now we're down to a mere 62,000. Server populations are a real problem, and the player base is more divided than ever. So is SoD on life support, or can Blizzard turn things around? Today we're diving into all the controversies that might be killing classic WoW, from the forced server transfers to the GDKP ban, even the 10 versus 20 man raid debate. Buckle up guys, this one is going to be a doozy. Before we jump in though, let me know in the comments, are you still playing SoD, or did you end up quitting? Also, what is your biggest gripe with how Blizzard is handling Classic right now? Let's talk. So the first problem that has plagued Classic WoW, and Season of Discovery being no exception, is the locked realms, the dead realms. See, early on in 2019, Classic, and even SoD as well, everybody has wanted to play on the same giant servers. Whether Fairlina, Whitemane, Crusader Strike. The issue though is that the server capacity has never been able to keep up with the fact that everybody wants to be on the same server. The big servers end up locked, and a lot of the population's forced off to join other servers. Kuranax, Scarum, Sulfuris, Lavalash, even Lone Wolf. These servers start off looking like very healthy servers. They've got plenty of people for leveling, even raid groups. But a few months later, as JFD can attest, they end up as ghost towns. People can't find groups, they can't find raids, and guilds end up disbanding. Then Blizzard ends up seeing, okay, these servers are dead, let's merge them with other dead servers. The problem is, as many times as you merge those servers, they end up dead as well, because everybody wants to be on those really big servers. Patrick even points out he was forced to migrate 3 separate times in Classic, which likely killed his guilds, and it definitely drove a lot of players away. Fast forward 6 months, a year, and when those big servers finally unlock, everybody is forced back to them. It's a completely unnecessary carousel. It's been happening in Classic and now SoD, and it is just such a big problem. I would love to hear if you've had to transfer off of a dying server. Did it ruin the game for you, or maybe it saved the game for you? Sound off in the comments. Clearly though, the consistent musical chairs of server transfers, it did Season of Discovery no favors. There are 2 other major server problems that have negatively affected SoD though. The first is the cross-region locks. And you take Path of Exile 2 for example, a legitimate WoW competitor. Let's say I have a friend in Path of Exile 2, they play in Germany and I'm in Ohio. Well, we can play together, no problem. In World of Warcraft Classic though, if I have a European friend, I'll probably never get to play with them, at least unless they're willing to spend an entire extra $15 a month on a new subscription. It's the kind of thing that makes this game just so much harder to sell to new players. Imagine a new player, they're playing SoD for the first time, but their friends can't play with them. It's not as fun solo, so those new players end up quitting. Meanwhile, we have another problem, the PvE, the PvP split. It is a debate whether it even makes sense with such a divided ecosystem to even have the separate PvE and PvP servers. I know you're going to disagree with this, but I would love, at least as an experiment, one giant server, no PvE, no PvP. Maybe there would be too many server imbalances, but I'd like to see it. Let's say though that everybody decides there has to be a PvE and there has to be a PvP server. It's just too much of a decision to make in 3 seconds on the character select screen. Tell me honestly, why can't we move from PvE to PvP after we make that decision? Everybody's leveling in dungeons anyway, so it doesn't actually matter which server you're on for leveling. What's the real difference between a Wild Growth character or a Crusader Strike character? Separating an already divided player base in half, it just seems illogical to me, but I know there's going to be some disagreements. Another major disagreement point, which possibly led to the SoD downfall, was the 10 versus 20 man raid debate. Season of Discovery comes out, we have that 10 man endgame focus. It's extremely pug friendly, so easy to make raids, so easy to find players, so easy to play with your friends. It really did feel like raid participation was at an all-time high, and the numbers do reflect that. But then, like Daniel said, they flipped the script in Phase 3. We ended up with 20-man raids, and we had Sunken Temple. A lot of the 10-man raiders, they felt abandoned. Now, whether this is the reason that the game's population dropped, or whether it just feels like it was the reason, it could definitely be at least argued that Blizzard did not do this in the most graceful way, just smashing the raids together, assuming that you could take 2 10-mans and put them together to make a 20-man. See, 20-mans are just so different. They feel like a real event you have to plan for. You have to worry about people calling out. You could be holding up 20 different people's schedules. You also have to manage 20 different egos. You have to find specific classes, that tank, that healer, that you have to have just to get the raid started. Personally, I've always felt like it's easier to get to know raiders in that 10-man environment, whether it's Karazhan, you're cracking jokes while you're doing the trash. It just feels like a 20-man is a guided field trip with a very strict teacher. You kind of feel like with 20 people, there's always somebody that has to leave exactly when the raid ends. There's no time to waste, there's no goofing around, it's just business. Maybe you've got a different take on the debate though, so feel free to let me know. Then there is the other rating decision that a lot of people say is the turning point in SoD, and that is the GDKP ban. The GDKP system made for extremely easy pugging. You didn't have to worry about filling groups, they just gotta fill themselves. So Blizzard ended up banning GDKPs because they were trying to combat gold selling. Yes, a lot of people were buying gold to participate in the GDKPs. The consequence though was that it definitely felt like the pug scene did dry up a lot. Players like Reese, they really enjoyed the GDKPs because they didn't have to commit to a weekly raid schedule. They didn't have to treat raiding like it was a job. They could just raid whenever they felt like it and always get something for their effort. So despite some debatable missteps with Season of Discovery, and GDKP bans being one of them, there are still some positive signs with Season of Discovery, things that are saying maybe this game can still be put back on track. For one thing, a lot of folks are saying leveling in SoD is the best it's ever been. You've got runes, you've got the quests, even the incursions, which some people really dislike, they make leveling a lot easier. George, for example, even says there are tons of players out there questing, they're helping each other out, which is a really good thing to see. Players like Kivris, though, they're having a different experience, saying it is hard to find groups. So which is it? Awesome? Deserted? If you're still leveling right now, do you find groups easily? How does it actually feel for you? So now that we know what went wrong with Season of Discovery, the question is what can actually be done to fix it for the future? Well, community suggestions are definitely one of the real solutions. We take a page from RuneScape. The RuneScape-style poll system really did wonders for that game. Having player communication and then Blizzard actually listening to that communication on what players actually want could really help. With the player base finally being listened to, it's time to have a long-term plan. See, Blizzard really needs to announce exactly where SoD is headed. Whether TBC, Wrath, a permanent Classic Plus server, we need to know that our work isn't being wasted, that there's more coming down the line. In the meantime, like Mr. Cassicle says, we've got to have new content, new raids. Not just rehashed dungeons, but real unique content that gives people a huge reason to come back. Now, which of these solutions do you really think is going to save SoD? Let me know. Maybe Blizzard's watching, we can only hope. So is SoD really dead, or is there still hope? We've heard from players who say it's thriving, or others that think it's just completely beyond saving. One thing's clear though, the community is deeply divided, and Blizzard's next move could break or make the future of Classic. Share your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team SoD is dead or Team SoD is still alive? Smash that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, and subscribe for more WoW Classic updates, hot takes, and hopefully solutions to keep this game alive. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in Azeroth.